Hi, my name is Peter Yang, and I'm an assistant professor of pediatric neurosurgery at UTHealth Houston and Children's Memorial Hermann Hospital. Today, we'll provide an introductory overview of arteriovenous malformations, a type of high-flow vascular malformation that we treat as neurosurgeons. We'll provide an overview of arteriovenous malformations, or AVMs, and discuss their diagnosis and treatment. AVMs are fast-flow vascular malformations that are found in 1 in every 100,000 people per year. They are thought to be present at birth and consist of high-flow shunting, or blood that directly flows from artery to vein, bypassing normal capillary beds. This causes venous hypertension with increased stress within vessel walls that do not normally withstand high pressures, which can then result in high-flow rupture or bleeding. Bleeding or hemorrhage from AVMs is a major cause of non-traumatic intracranial hemorrhage in pediatrics, which has immediate and delayed consequences related to surrounding brain damage. Most AVMs are sporadic, meaning they form at random, but some are associated with genetic conditions. AVMs are usually found after a bleeding event, which can result in a patient experiencing sudden onset headache, focal neurological deficits like weakness or double vision, or a seizure, depending on location. Although the annual hemorrhage rate for AVMs overall is less than 5%, a history of rupture places an AVM at twice the likelihood of rupturing compared to an unruptured AVM. Besides prior hemorrhage, there are features of the AVM that are associated with increased risk for rupture, such as deep location, explosive deep venous drainage, and any associated aneurysms. In general, the formula for calculating the lifetime bleeding risk, which is the probability of any bleeding in a lifetime, is shown in this formula at the right side. The probability of no hemorrhage per year is raised to the power of how many years this patient is expected to live. That number is a probability of never having a hemorrhage during that lifetime, so it is subtracted from 1 to obtain the risk of having at least one hemorrhage. So for example, a 16-year-old with a ruptured AVM with at least 50 years of expected life has an annual rupture rate of 4.5% or a no rupture rate of 95.5%. The lifetime probability of no bleeding is 10%, so the lifetime probability of any bleeding is 90%. Therefore, younger patients with ruptured AVMs are typically recommended treatment for this reason. Diagnostic workup of AVMs includes a head CT or CTA in the acute setting, a diagnostic cerebral angiogram, and a brain MRI. Patients with ruptured AVMs often present with sudden onset headache and/or sudden loss of function or even sudden loss of consciousness. All patients first undergo primary survey to ensure airway, breathing, and circulation. After that, emergency imaging, usually in the form of a head CT with CTA, is performed to diagnose a hemorrhage and the associated AVM blood vessels. At this stage, a neurosurgeon is consulted to determine whether emergency surgery is indicated. We typically reserve surgery for cases that require evacuation of a large blood clot or the need to relieve intracranial pressure buildup. After this acute stage, a diagnostic cerebral angiogram is performed, which is the gold standard for evaluating the inflow and outflow vessels of the AVM. In an angiogram, a large artery in the wrist or the groin is punctured, and small wires and catheters are inserted into those blood vessels, supplying the neck and the brain. Dyes are injected and x-rays are taken to visualize the blood flow within those vessels. This is a very important step in the diagnosis and management of AVMs. Angiograms reveal whether the AVM has any high-risk features that warrant urgent surgery. A brain MRI is performed in a less urgent manner to better assess the brain tissue for surgical planning purposes. AVMs are standardly characterized by size, venous drainage pattern, and whether the AVM is located in eloquent brain. These factors are associated with risk of open surgery. Recently, the Lawton-Young supplementary grading system, which includes age, hemorrhage status, and compactness, has improved the predictive accuracy for surgical outcomes in AVMs. As with any lesion found in the brain or spine, the options are observation, medical management, or surgical management. No two AVMs are the same. For select cases of asymptomatic lesions and/or lesions in high-risk regions of the brain, clinical observation may be reasonable. AVMs that are small, deep-seated, or with an eloquent cortex are considered for stereotactic radiosurgery or gamma knife to avoid the risk associated with open cranial surgery. In this non-invasive one-time treatment, radiation beams are delivered to the AVM vessels and slowly causes them to occlude. Unfortunately, it can take several years for these effects to take place and for the AVM to be fully treated. They are less effective than open surgery and can lead to radiation necrosis as a side effect, but gamma knife carries much lower overall risks in select patients. During treatment, different scans, including an angiogram and an MRI, are co-registered to create a treatment map for the AVM. The treatment involves delivering many weak beams of radiation that become strong when they intersect at the target, so AVM vessels get a high dose of radiation, but the surrounding brain tissues are generally spared. Radiation oncologists and neurosurgeons treat these patients together. After gamma knife, we typically monitor with routine MRI, MRAs, and then perform a diagnostic angiogram at 3 years. Surgery offers a definitive cure and immediate elimination of hemorrhage risk if the AVM is completely resected. A deep understanding of the anatomy and architecture of the blood vessels is imperative for a safe and effective operation. During surgery, a craniotomy is performed in which a window of bone is removed temporarily and then put back after resection. Some tools we use in the OR include neuronavigation to match the MRI with 3D space, monitoring eloquent neural pathways, high magnification, and intraoperative techniques such as endocyanin green and angiograms to visualize normal and abnormal blood vessels before and after resection. Preoperative endovascular embolization, typically performed immediately prior to surgery, is an option that can provide control of deep bleeding arteries, making surgery safer. The decision on when to operate can be influenced by the location of the AVM and the benefits of allowing the hemorrhage to break down and the surrounding brain to relax. And after surgery, MRIs and angiograms are performed to monitor for recurrence. In conclusion, AVMs are high-flow vascular lesions that can bleed and can at times be life-threatening. When patients are suspected of having a ruptured AVM, urgent workup and neurosurgical evaluation is needed. Ultimately, an angiogram is needed for definitive treatment planning. The natural history of AVM rupture must be weighed against the risk of surgical intervention. In pediatric patients, the expected lifespan of the patient factors into treatment decision-making. In select patients, surgery or radiosurgery can be a safe and effective treatment for AVMs. Individualized multimodal treatment of AVMs is key. At UTHealth, each AVM case is reviewed at our multidisciplinary vascular conference, which includes subspecialists in pediatric neurosurgery, open vascular neurosurgery, endovascular neurosurgery, and radiation oncology. This collaborative approach enables our team to provide a comprehensive and individualized evaluation of each case. Thank you very much for your attention.